Some of the items that you will need to complete this task is some coolant. Make sure it's the Long Life Antifreeze Type 2 from Honda. This is to protect your water pump because it's made out of aluminum. You will need some ratchets, extension bars. I like the universal joints that sometimes get you to the different spots. Then you're going to need 3 different types of sockets, the 10, 12, and 14. And as far as wrenches, you can get by with just 2 10, at least one 10 millimeter wrench. Of course, if you're going to change the pump, you're going to want to need your pump as well. Another thing you will need to hold on to the water pulley, that's going to be an Allen wrench, and then to remove the belt, a serpentine belt wrench, which will be just a long wrench that's very flat to fit in through the sides. Alright, so to be able to do a water pump change, we have to empty the coolant in the car. What we do is we come directly below the car and we come over to the middle and we're going to see this butterfly valve. You could use, not butterfly valve, but we just call it a butterfly cover. And you can loosen it with the pliers, and then it should be hand loose. What I recommend is having a pan underneath to be able to catch the product. So I'll show you what that looks like here as I loosen it. It's important to note that as you're draining your coolant from the car, it is the car you're allowed it to cool, so it's not something that can burn you. So I'll show you what that looks like as it's coming out there. And total you'll have about 1.5 gallons. Coolant is still being removed from the vehicle, but in the meantime you can work on things like take off the belt. After the removal of the reservoir bracket, now you have to remove the power steering pump without disconnecting any of the hoses. All you have to do is take care of these 2 bolts here, one that I just took out and number 2 right here. And once you turn that, then you also have to get rid of this bracket right here. So you could just take it off and put the nut aside, or as I like to put it right back so I don't lose it, and then set the power steering pump to the side. Alright, the power steering pump and reservoir have been moved to the side. As you can see, there's one of the hoses, there's the pump, and here's a reservoir. I just pushed it over to what the hose allowed me to. Next it's time to remove the auto tensioner. So the way we do that is remove that blue nut and then a blue bolt right here. And we'll just turn that till they're loose and we'll take away the auto tensioner. Alright, the nut and bolt are loose and we can remove the auto tensioner and put it to the side. And now we have access to the water pump below that. I think it's time now to take the belt out completely. Alright, now that we have access to the water pump, which this is the water pump pulley, we have to remove that pulley before we can get access to the 6 bolts to the water pump. Put in an Allen wrench, as you can see right there, in one of the side holes. That will block the pulley from rotating with the nut and loosen it. Like so. And there we go. Got the last nut loose. Perfect. Alright, now the pulley to the water pump has been removed. As you can see, that area is very small. We have access to 6 bolts we have to remove. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is right behind there. That last one is the most difficult. Let me show you the new water pump over here. Why? This is from top to bottom. Here are the 6 bolts, and this is the difficult one we're trying to get out here. So essentially, I'm going to be coming from above like this, and I need to find that bolt and take it out that way. Once I do that, I'll have the water pump in my hand. When you take the water pump out, be prepared. Even though you drain the coolant, there's still some left in the reservoir, and will drain down to the bottom, so you'll need to clean that up. Alright, I'm going to be installing the new water pump. Here it is. Here's the old one. You can see it still looks like it's in pretty good condition. The difference is very subtle right now because on mine the bearing barely started to make some sound. So if I spin quickly, you can hear just a small rattle compared to this one. It's pretty much quiet. So it was beginning to start to fail. The other thing I wanted to point out was how we install the pulley here. How do we install these 3 bolts on there? And if you see through here, right through the top, excuse me, let me turn the whole thing, let me remove this to make it clear. See right through the top? If you align this just right, you're going to get it to run through a hole that is designed so you can't move the pulley, and you can tighten your bolts, your pulley back on there. Alright, so now that we put on the water pump on and we tighten the screws, now we want to torque them. The torque for them is 8.7 pounds, foot-pounds. So we're going to turn this till it clicks. So you're going to... Reason it's so important to torque is you don't want to over-tighten a nut or bolt on an aluminum frame. And right there is your torque. See that click before it moves? So it's torqued. Just as I demoed prior, how you have to use a hex wrench or something alike. You know that the big hole is going to be between the nuts, so I would guess about right there. Now you could barely see here with the camera, but I'm going to tighten this bolt right here to what I think is 10 foot-pounds because my torque wrench doesn't fit down there. The auto tensioner is in place, and the nut and the bolt, denoted by the blue, are in place. Now I'm going to tighten that to 16 foot-pounds. Alright, the very last components are missing is putting back the power steering pump right there and there. Those will be torqued to 33 foot-pounds. The bracket at 8.7 foot-pounds. And then the 2 mounting screws. And then of course we'll put the belt back on. Now it's time to replace the coolant that we took out. What you'll do is you fill up your reservoir to the designated line. Then you're going to fill up your radiator to the base. Put on the cap loosely. Turn on the engine and let the fan turn on. Turn it off. Then remove the lid and refill to what you may need. That will get all the air out of the radiator. After that, tighten on the cap on, and we should be complete.